Page 165. We're going to make a drawing that looks something like this. And that the first step is to determine where a braced wall line is. Now, any wall that is within 4 feet of a linear braced wall line for an 8-foot total deviation is considered part of that wall. And that's what they're saying here. So they're using this center line right here as a braced wall line. Now, they don't have to do a separate braced wall for this wall because it's within 4 feet of this line. Okay? So we can go 4 feet on either side. And you see this as houses move along, they got little projections, right? Most of us in our master, we have that little thing that comes out 2 feet. That's considered part of the main line of the front wall. Okay. So as you have these little things, kind of figure that out. Now, you got to make sure I can move this. Let's say this right here is 6 feet. How would I get this to count on this braced wall line? I can put that braced wall line wherever I want. I can then come in and say, you know what, I'm going to put the braced wall line right here. Okay? To where now I have 4 feet this way, 4 feet this way, and I get the whole thing. Okay? So keep in mind, you're going to put a center line down there, specking out the wall, and you can count any linear feature within 4 feet of that line. Okay? So let's go get an idea of how to do this. So I'm going to go to my floor plan. And let's just call out our first wall. I need to kind of, this is an old drawing. I need to do shears different.
We're not seeing it yet.
Well, why not?
You're talking to your computer.
Okay. I thought I'd morph that over to you. I'm deleting a couple things out of here. I don't need any of my Windows stuff, so I'm deleting all that. Delete, undo, delete that one, that one. I just want you to see this before I get started. I got one more shear panel to delete out of here. Okay, so here's my front wall. Okay. First thing I'm going to do is define where the braced wall line goes. Now I don't have any other real major contributors. This is within 4 feet, so I'm just going to make my center line right down the middle of this wall. Okay. And we'll run it by. Okay. So I'm just going to do a line right down the center of that guy. And run it all the way. And run it a little bit past. And you can take the drafting time to make this look very nice. And I'm going to call this brace line 1. And you can use A's or B's or whatever you want on this also. Should be a center line. Now you will want this to be fairly easy to read. So you might want to think about even taking your walls, if you're going to leave them in 024, I actually take my walls and switch them to like in my text layer, and then I use 024 for my braced wall lines. So just to show you real quick, for my layers, what I would probably do is take the entire house, and I'm going to stick that on the text layer. And then I want my braced wall line to really stand out. It's going to go on the walls layer. Okay, so maybe, I usually have been working in white up here just to give you the line weights, because this is the most important line on the drawing.
Wait, what layer did you put it on?
I put my braced wall line on the walls layer, or an object line layer,
No.
024 line weight. And then my house, I'm going to drop down a little bit so that I I can really see it through here.
So you made a new layer.
No, I just use my existing ones. My house went to the text layer, which is 016, right? So I'm adding another 800s onto that one. Need more time, raise your hand. Okay, I'm going to kind of move on, and you can finish the drafting on your own time. Let's move to the next step. Okay, the next step is determining where these panels are going to go. So the first thing you have to do is measure your braced wall line. Okay, so let's kind of put some steps out here. So one is determine braced wall line location. Two is get the overall length. Okay, so measure that whole wall. Now you're not measuring the line, you're measuring the wall. Okay? So in my instance, I think all of us are pretty close to the same, aren't we? 48 or whatever the dimension was of this house?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're 48 feet. Now, keep in mind, there's no 48-foot classification. There is a 50-foot. Okay, you cannot round down. Okay? So, now we're going to table 602-10-1, which is on page 167. So you're looking at the 90-mile-an-hour wind speed. We are doing one floor with a roof. I'm using 50 linear feet here. I'm using method WSP. Is it this one or this one? I don't have my columns. The second to last one? I have to have 9 feet of braced wall panels. That's total over the length of that panel. Now remember, we also have to have one within 10 feet of each corner and one every 20 feet. You're probably always going to be over this number. Okay? So that's what we got to have, over 9 feet of linear braced wall panel.
So if we were doing method GB, which says 15.5, we'd still have to go back down to 10?
Say that again?
If we were doing method GB, which says 15.5,
GB is 29, oh wait. Yes, 15.5.
so we'd have to still have to go down to 10.
No, you would have to have one within 10 feet of each corner and one every 20 feet. The total length of all braced wall panels would have to be greater than 15.5 feet.
So total.
Now, you're not gonna use method GB, we don't really do that in our country.
Yeah, I was just,
That's gypsum. By the way, they do give you credit, that's nice though. You can use drywall. It has shear capability, not much, hence the 16 feet, but it does have some. Older versions of the IRC didn't count for drywall. So we got 9 feet, that's what that's telling us. Okay, so we're done with that. So the first thing I would recommend that you do is go to your edges, measure them. Do you have 4 feet with no windows or doors right here at the start? Okay. So I'm just going to use my distance command and measure that first part, and by gosh, look at that, 4 feet exactly. Okay. I'll go ahead and show you what I'm measuring here. Okay. I measured that section. I don't know what yours is. Is anybody got less than 4 feet here? Okay. Now, if you do, can you move something? Or do you have wall space, whatever's in there, do you have something within 10 feet of that front corner that's 4 feet?
What?
Do you, okay, so I think, like I'm sitting here looking at Cheryl, she brings this projection out quite a bit here. Okay, kind of in this scenario, if I'm drawing yours right, Cheryl, you kind of come out like this, right? In a square. And you've got what distance here?
4 feet and 3/4 inch.
Well, you got 4 feet. Okay, so you're good. I thought you
So-
raised your
I
hand.
am.
Oh, no, yeah.
So let's say this is 36 inches. Okay. I can make that a shear panel because it's over my 36, right? We just read 36 or above will count as a shear panel. If it's less than that, you're gonna run into some problems. Now, I've got windows through here. I can't put a shear panel in here, but if this side is within 10 feet of the edge, I can put one right here as long as it's within 10 feet of this corner. You gotta have one in that first 10 feet. Okay? Hence, I kind of knew this going in, mine's 4 feet. If you don't, can you move this? Can you make it a little smaller? What kind of design criteria can you bring into this also to accommodate for this requirement of the building? Okay.
It's only what's along that brace wall
That's
line.
it. That's all we're looking at.
The whole thing?
Now, I know I've got enough room right at the start, so I come in and I'm gonna do a copy, and I'm gonna throw this guy right there. Okay. Mine looks so big. What textile did I use? Okay. So there's where one's going, and I just put that little symbol right there where I'm at, and I'm 48 inches. If you've got a 36-inch one, you would change this number to 36. You don't have to dimension any of this. All these things are dimensioned on the floor plan. Okay, then I'm going to go to the other side. Okay. Remember, you got to have one within 10 feet here. So again, I have another 4-foot section right at the start. Okay, you might have a window there, you might have something, you've got to move it. Okay, so I'm going to put my little symbol right here. So right now I'm sitting like such. I'm telling them there's going to be a shear wall panel right here, there's going to be one right here.
So you don't actually have to go in the 4 feet and then make your arrow line up, or do you,
No,
with your symbol? Okay.
no, you're just putting your symbol where it needs to go. Now you might have a window here, again, you can go past it. It's got to be within 10 feet of the corner. And by the way, it only has to start within 10 feet of the corner. You can actually make it, You know, if I start it right at 10 or 9.5, I'm within code and it stretches out to 13 something, right? All right, next thing I have to do is I have to have, or excuse me, my spacing between shear panels cannot be greater than 20 feet. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come to this one over here, and I'm just going to do an offset of 20 feet. Okay, that puts me right in the middle of this door. Okay. Now I'm also going to come over on this side, and I'm going to do the same thing. Okay, so let me do a line here, and I'm going to do an offset of 20 feet. And again, I hit in the door. Okay. And you go from the edges, right? Go from the edges.
So you went from the edge of where,
There's the edge of my shear panel. I offset 20 feet, and that hit this one. Then I went from the edge of this one, and that one hit on that one.
so.
Which makes sense, right? Because I've got 48 feet. I took 8 and 8. I should have about the same right somewhere in the middle.
So you always, do you measure out 48 inches, or do you measure to the edge of the,
48 inches. Wherever the edge of your shear panel is.
so what if you didn't have this window here, and so, like, does that entire thing become your shear panel?
No,
So
heck
just-
no, I'm not making the framers do the whole thing.
So just. is-
Remember, that's where you're gonna block in there, and you're gonna nail it differently.
So you're measuring from here, not the,
That was close enough to 4 feet, I didn't take the time to bother going.
Now I gotta put one in there and one there, is that not?
So what's this telling me? I'm hitting in here. Those of you that took the time, I just came from the edge of the window. I've got 4.6 here. That's why mine aren't hitting exactly. Because if I've got 48 feet, I took 4 off of each end, that's 40 feet. That should mean both of them hit 20 feet in the middle, right? So I need one more shear panel. Keep in mind, we've also got to get greater than 9 feet. Well, I've got 4 and 4, so I'm at 8 feet. I only need one more foot for requirement, right? Now, mine hits in the door. Can I slide the door, or does that screw up my design? Okay, keep in mind, moving this geometry is always an option. On mine, I said no, because I've got my stairway sitting here, I need my door where it's at. So I'm going to come in and put a 32 incher right here on this side of this door, but now that satisfies this one, but it doesn't satisfy this one. So I'm going to have to put another one right here. And I'm not going to make them full 48 because I don't need to. So I'm going to make a couple 32s right on both sides of those doors. So,
If you have a window, you can make it on the other side of the window then.
yep.
Okay.
So I'm just going to come and put it right here and here, and I'm just going to change this to 32.
Because that satisfies the 20.
is that spacing, 20 feet?
But
Washer, was that
So,
spacing 20
so like
feet?
for mine, I can just put one, so look,
The spacing was
so
20
for
feet?
mine,
Yep.
if I.
So if
right here,
mine end up
4
on
feet, okay?
just a regular
These
There
wall.
you go, put one right there
I
and you're
just need
done.
one.
One
So this is
48er and you're
20
done.
feet.
And they could
And
be,
so
as long as they're
this
within
is my
48
other one, 'cause I've got
inches
like 7 pieces
hard,
here.
then they only need one.
And so these two.
And you're above the 9 feet,
So I can.
which we are.
So I can put one.
So if we
I can
offset it,
put
if we're looking
one,
pretty much in the middle of the wall. is
32
that what you're looking
right
for?
here.
And so
And
it's not
that
in the
satisfies it because that's within
Yeah,
20 feet.
you're fine.
Going from this edge
You only need one.
here, right
Oh.
here.
So we
going
just
this way.
set another one.
So does that make sense? He has to put two, he has to put
Yeah,
two
you're
because
good.
he doesn't want to move his
So
door.
like, is that
And
what it
so-
is, or is it just kind of like?
No, just put the symbol on next to the
So
wall
from
space.
left, going from that 48 to
And
32.
the
he has
length
to have
of
that
the
32
shear
there
band.
because it has to be within that 20 feet. Okay? And so with
So does
mine,
the middle one?
with
still
mine
need
right here is
48?
common ground, and I don't
You can leave it at 48 if you wish.
So, right here.
And they're probably gonna do a 48 anyway, because it's a continuous sheet, right?
32.
Yeah.
They're just gonna find a full sheet in there, the framer, and block it and nail it.
So you went out here 4 feet, drew a line,
But where are you
and offset it.
getting
Did the same thing here, offset it, and then they ended up being like this close
You
together.
have another chart, but
And
And
since
so
that's what.
One, you good?
1 feet,
Our house
then you only need
is,
one. But his
you
laying
have to
down the
measure
door,
the
we
overall
had to put one over here
distance
and
of the
one
house,
over
and
here.
ours is 48.
So you have to- you
So
have
you
to
can't
worry
round
about
down,
it.
you have to round up.
Define here. But I don't understand.
So we're gonna have
Okay.
shear panels right here, okay, so then you're just measuring this stuff out. So right here, I've got 4 feet, and right here,
Just right in the middle of that wall.
I've got 7 foot by 13/16. So,
Now this one.
so that satisfies my
And
9
then
feet.
you're gonna probably
Okay.
want another one.
So that's,
We need
Take a
to-
line.
You need
right?
32 inches more shear.
so you have to have
32
at least 9 feet of shear panels for this run.
Offset that.
Okay.
Then why were we doing four?
What did he mean by that
Because
9
that's
feet
a-
thing?
Because you had to have 9 feet, we only got,
I think that's standard.
yeah, 4 feet there.
Because you're, well,
Yeah, you know, our chart says we have to have 9.5 feet, 9 feet total,
Uh-huh.
so you got 4 over
Okay, you need
here.
another one.
Oh, that's your,
Then
what
that-
you add up to, so we've got,
And you got 4
he's got,
here.
he's got 16.
Okay, so you got 4 feet here.
I think 9 within,
Oh,
9
oh,
within 20 feet.
Oh, we changed them to 32.
Yeah.
Oh,
Is that 4
It has
feet?
to be,
I didn't catch that.
Wait, that doesn't,
there's
yeah, I
6
got there.
inches to.
Since I put one in the middle, I got to leave mine at 48.
So your 360 is 42 inches, right? So you might want to slide that
But I don't
a
get
little.
the
So
Four,
it's 48,
times
or you're
3,
gonna
12,
change
so I'm
that
at 12.
so
to
the total
40 inches.
shear panels that we have in here have to equal 9 feet, so we've got,
Instead
Up
of.
to you.
How did he know to go,
No.
why did he go
Be
out of
42,
the
32?
10
actually,
feet
3.6.
is, you have to have
42
the shear
inches.
panel within
Wait, so
10
wait,
feet
wait,
of
that's
this
4
corner.
feet,
So
and
from
that's
this
not, because
corner
9
going this
between
way,
here and here.
I have to
Nine
have a
between
shear
here and
panel.
No, you have to have 9
That
feet
is-
total from here
that is-
to
Oh,
here.
gotcha.
So,
That's 4.
like, my window right
There's
here,
8.
I didn't have.
Really, I only
right
need
here.
one more
I
12
had
incher in here.
3 feet.
But they won't let me
And
count a
5/8.
12 incher. And I've got to satisfy the 20-foot code. So I
Oh,
put
that's what
another
it's-
2.5 feet, and another 2.5 feet. I'm way over what they're requiring me to do.
And I stretched it
And
out,
what's wrong with
so
the
that I've
1
got
foot?
4 feet here now.
Can't do it.
You have to use a hold down with anything less than 2 foot 8.
Yeah.
And I'm not doing a hold down.
So 2
unless
foot
I have
8
to.
is the minimum
I
that we're
actually
doing on
have
Yes.
to
Yeah.
double check one
I got it.
this.
2 foot 8's at 32 inches,
I
right?
don't think you can go, I don't think you can go over 48.
Declan, you golden?
I will be, I gotta move some stuff around.
Okay. Remember, I can do all of these at 32 inches. I can go 32, 32, 32, 32, 32. I can do any of that, as long as they all add up to 9 feet or greater.
Well, why?
And I've got one within 10 feet of the corner and no more than 20 feet in between them.
So why don't you change those 48s to 32? Or
Because 48's a better one, because what's the sheet? The sheet size is 4 by 8, right?
Oh.
So I'm using a whole sheet. It's the best panel we got. Nobody's blowing this down. The big bad wolf is not gonna come in and blow this house down.
What?
Guess what? The second little piggy survived.
You
Not
got,
like
there's
the
a
fairy
con-
tale.
That's the point, I told somebody that your house is like, those
Asphalt.
people that don't use that concrete, so no one's gonna blow it down. That's good.
Now, what you now do, folks, is you just copy this thing around and do it again. So I'm gonna copy this, just so you show you. And I'll copy it from, how about right there, and then just bring it up to right there. Now, this is now brace wall line 2. So make sure you're changing your stuff. Here's 2. And I do the same thing. And I come through here and I satisfy those same things. When I'm done with that, I do one all the way through here. I I gotta do one on this exterior wall and this exterior wall. Now, there's a reason I went 24 foot with a 16-foot garage in here. Because 16 plus 4 is 24, but this one's part of this wall. So as long as you can get a 4-footer right here, you don't have to go to a portal frame or a portal hold down. It doesn't matter. That's all one wall through there. This is a little wall. There's a little wall. You're looking for these things and you gotta do all the walls. That's all you're displaying on here. Okay, you kind of got it? Follow those guidelines and finish drafting this up. Print it, half scale, put it in your box, I'll redline it. Hey, I'm getting a lot of prints with no titles, no scale on them, no north arrow. Every plan view should have a title with the scale underneath it and a north arrow. You can just copy it from another plan, right? It takes you 2 seconds. I got all your elevations and roof plans that were turned in. I didn't put a grade to them. They're going in the grade book as a 5. Some of you have more work to do than others on them. They're redlined up. I will put them in your boxes as soon as I'm done talking here. So let's get this one turned in as quick as possible. We're going to spend the next 2 days going back through these and tying our drawing sets together because it's time to start thinking about how we're going to print this and putting our print together and filling in holes. And we'll spend the next 2 days talking about that before I switch to civil. We have now finished